Welcome to another episode of Health Your Way podcast, where we discuss health issues ranging from physical, mental, emotional, as well as current facts. Today, we're going to be discussing discovering your own body's healing power. My guest, Carine, can I get it right?
Yes.
Thank you. Camara, she's an intuitive guide, an acupuncturist, energy medicine practitioner, and the host of Infinite Love podcast. She's devoted her life to the study of physical, emotional, and spiritual wellness, and her mission is to help people heal. So I want to say thank you for being part of this episode. I sincerely appreciate it. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
I know that this topic itself is very dear to you, and I think for our audience itself, can you explain how you discovered your own body's healing power?
Well, I had a very interesting childhood where I had digestive issues pretty much my whole childhood. And I never really understood what was wrong. Like, my mom fed us well, we didn't eat a lot of junk food, but I had chronic stomach pain, constipation. I had acne as a teenager. I had very, very painful menstrual cycles in my teenage years. So I just never understood what was happening. And of course, the doctors didn't give me any clear directives other than taking ibuprofen for my menstrual pain and maybe taking some antibiotics for my acne. But my digestive stuff was kind of like they shrugged their shoulders and was like, well, drink more water. Nothing really shifted. And it wasn't until I was 20 and I started working at a macrobiotic restaurant in Paris that I started to understand that food can have a direct relationship on my health and well-being. And I started shifting my diet. And it was very simple. I took out processed foods. I stopped eating sugar. At that point, I was a complete sugar addict and I ate sugar like all the time. And when I mean sugar, I mean candy, cookies, sugar. And I stopped eating processed sugar. I stopped eating meat. I stopped eating white breads, white pastas, and I became totally macrobiotic, eating whole foods and grains. And 95 of my symptoms, percent of my symptoms went away. Like, it wasn't a complete heal, but it just gave me an opening. I was like, oh my God, I could heal myself. I could just heal myself with eating differently, exercising, breath work. And then as the years progressed, I added on more things: mindset, spirituality, emotional wellness, and got deeper into it. But that was the first opening for me to understand that yes, food is medicine and I could shift my well-being just by changing the way I eat.
I like that because I think a lot of people forget that there's a correlation. They think it's just a simple pill or going to see a doctor. And then you see a lot of commercials of, of medicines that's supposed to resolve your issue. But if you look at the way you eat, as you mentioned, it's a huge correlation. You can just change something simple that can help you heal.
Right.
And I think, is it fair to say that as a society, should we be more active in our role in discovering how to heal ourselves, like what our body is capable of doing, instead of, possibly looking at other options that involve just taking a pill?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone has the power to heal, and it's really important for people to feel empowered to take their health in their hands and not be the victim of society telling you what to do and what not to do. You should eat this, you should eat that. Because honestly, everybody's built different. And everyone's going to need different things. And sometimes the medicine that you need may not be a pill. Maybe it's more love and affection. Maybe it's more nourishment. Maybe it's more, I need to connect with my friends and family in a different way. Maybe I need to get a pet. So there's so many different things that your body and soul might need, and it's not always going to be like this bottle, this supplement, this food. It's very, very holistic and personal. So for me, health is always going to be about going into yourself and going into that internal journey to understand who you are as a person, what your soul and spirit needs to thrive on this planet. Like, we're not just bodies, we're spirit residing in a body. So there's different angles of looking at your health, but ultimately it's about understanding who you are, what brings you joy, and how you can manifest what you want and how to create a healthy life through the actions that you do daily.
I like that. I think, just to elaborate more, a lot of people don't realize that, certain things that they do day to day maybe affect them in a negative way. And just to be happier might be just a shift of getting rid of toxic people, you
Right.
know, or like really realizing that, okay, maybe that job may not be for me. I may need to, like, just finding a passion that makes you whole. And I think a lot of people don't realize that your mental health to a certain extent affects your physical, right? And then you can it can transfer, you can try can transcribe, not transcribe, but it could be reflected in different ways. That's what I
Right.
meant. That's what
Yes.
I meant.
I got it. I got
I
it. Yeah,
was
yeah.
like thinking of the word, and I think a lot of people are like, okay, so we're listening to what you're saying, and like, what are some of the misconceptions that you feel that kind of stops people from really going into themselves and determining how to heal themselves?
The number one thing is people think it's too hard. They're like,
Yes,
oh, it's too hard. Like, I don't want to. Ultimately, most people want other people to fix them. Like, most people want, like, oh, I just want to put my problems on you and I want you to fix me. But ultimately, that's just not how this world is created. Like, everybody is responsible for themselves. So you really have to be in that mindset. Okay, my health is my responsibility. I need to take ownership on my body, what I'm thinking, what I'm putting in my body, what I'm eating, who I'm around. Like, all of these things are affecting my health, and nobody is responsible for my health but me. And what am I going to do now? And I think that's what people tend to like. They're like, oh, but the doctors know everything. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. The doctors know what they know.
is
Like,
what
and
they
ultimately,
taught. Yeah.
right. And ultimately, one of my pet peeves are like when you go to a doctor or a healthcare practitioner and they tell you how you're supposed to feel. Excuse me? Like, what? Like if you go to a male gynecologist and he's telling you how your period should be, like, aren't you like, you've never had a period?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Okay, I get it. There's certain things that
Yeah.
you can't tell me because every body is different, and I think they
Right.
look at a specific standard and think everybody is the same.
Right. And we're not. We're not the same at all. Like, even, that's why I love acupuncture so much in Chinese medicine, because somebody could have a headache, like five people can have a headache, but each person's going to have different points because
Really?
because the headaches could be different. Like having a headache in the front of your forehead, have a headache at the top, sides, those are all different diagnoses. So not all headaches are the same. A migraine's different from a tension headache. A dull aching headache is different from a stabbing headache. Those are different points and different ways of treatment. And it's even different herbs and supplements. So nobody's going to be cookie cutter the same. And so I think it's important for people to validate their feelings and what they feel and own that. So if you go to a doctor and the doctor's saying, and you're saying to somebody, I don't feel well, and the doctor's like, oh, you're fine. You're not okay. If you don't feel okay, you're not okay.
I like
And
that.
to really empower yourself with your feelings of how you feel in your body and take ownership and figure out a way to get well. And if this doctor doesn't help you, go find another one. Keep looking for somebody to help you. And ultimately, you want to find somebody that's going to help guide you to your path of inner wellness. Not somebody that's just going to impose these ideas. Try this drug, try this thing, see what happens. No, it needs to come from within, and that intuition will help to guide you to the best form of health that's best for you.
I like what you're saying because for me, when you mentioned how like when the doctor says there's nothing wrong with you, I remember a situation for myself where I knew something was off. And
Right.
I was like, I know this. This is not how my body reacts. This is not how, like, when you know how your body's supposed
Right.
to feel, you can't tell me. Okay, I'm telling you,
Exactly.
go check me out. And then
Exactly.
so I agree with you. A lot of people don't have that voice, and they need that
Mm-hmm.
voice to be
They
able.
do.
You have to defend yourself. This is your life, and
Right.
take some ownership. Because you said a lot of people wanted the easy way. They want someone to fix them. They don't want to deal with the problems. They go, just is that the pill? Okay, and that's it. No thought process really in it.
Right.
And I think you mentioned something about acupuncturist itself. Like for a lot of people, are there others alternative health that they should be open to help them discover their healing powers? Because I know you
Oh,
mentioned. Go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, all of it. I mean, there's
Okay.
naturopaths, there's chiropractors, there's acupuncturists, there's massage therapists, there's energy medicine practitioners, there's shamans, there's homeopathy. There is so much out there. There's even counselors. I mean, there's so much healing to be had. And ultimately, if you open yourself up to okay, God, universe, life, whoever your higher power is, help me, I want to heal. Who Help me find someone to heal. Put me someone in my path that's going to help me heal. Like ultimately, we all need coaches. We all need people to help us. And so ultimately, it's like asking for help. Asking
And
for help.
it's a lot. It's hard for most people. People don't want to ask for help. And then
I
people,
know,
they look at the alternative health like chiropractic, because I see one. Like I can't live
mhm,
without my chiropractor, my
right?
acupuncturist. I can't. And even then, if as an even if you're not an athlete, just as a general person, our
Hmm.
day-to-day lifestyle, like I see people and I'm like, you look like you're in pain, but they don't realize that. So you
Hmm.
never know how good your body feels until you get that.
Right?
It's true.
Yeah.
And like if you're watching or listening, I think what we're basically saying is there's so much, like if you are suffering or if you've never even tried a chiropractor or acupuncturist or a healer, just be open to it, because if you're hurting and you don't even, you need to be open to ideas and different ways that could help you heal, because a pill may not resolve your issue itself.
Hmm.
I know that you wear a lot of hats because
I
we
do.
mentioned a few already, but like you have your own podcast called
I
Infinite Love
do.
Podcast. Congratulations.
Thank
Um,
you.
I guess the question is, what is your why? Because people have asked me what my why is. I know my
Mhm.
why I decided to start this podcast. What's your why?
Well, my why is like I wanted to spread the notion that love is medicine, that you can actually utilize love as a frequency to help you heal. And
Okay.
the premise of the podcast is to showcase people, myself included, and others that come on that everyone has gone through something painful in their lives, right? A trauma, betrayal, heartbreak. And in these deep, deep moments of pain, how do some people transform that pain? And usually that involves a lot of love, a lot of faith, a lot of compassion, and they figure out ways to move out of this cycle of pain. And in this process, they now understand how to pull other people through it as well. So the idea is like love is medicine, but it's also of service. Like I've gone through a really painful situation. I want to share what I did so that maybe someone somewhere around the world would listen and be like, "Oh my God, I'm going through that too. I could shift."
I
So
see.
it's called infinite love because it's the transmutation of love and how it's infinite, and also to inspire people to spread love in their own lives, in their family, in their work, and to having the multiplication effect.
I like that. And I think, a lot of people don't, some people may feel alone. So like you
Right.
telling your story is just showing them, okay, you know what? I'm not alone. And that
Mm-hmm.
person, like they think that they're in the current situation, there's no end to it. But they
Right.
realize somebody was in that situation. Look at them now. So to give them hope. And once you
Exactly.
give somebody hope, then it helps them like, okay, you know what? I can do this. If she can or he can do it, I can do it. And I've seen it. Like
Right.
I think for me, I've been down, like we all have our own stories, like,
Mm-hmm.
and then just during that time, you feel really alone. And then when you hear other people going through the same issues, or even someone showing you some form of compassion or giving you that hand, you just, you don't expect it. And that itself heals you.
Mm-hmm.
It does. Like, I'm just sorry. It just took me back. It really did.
Yeah.
And I think, if people were interested in learning more about your service, about who you are, what you can offer, what is the best platform to reach you out on?
Well, the best platform would be my website,
Okay.
CarineCamara.com. And then I'm also pretty active on Instagram. So Carine J. Camara. I often do like lives and reels and
Hmm.
words of inspiration, those kinds of things. And then I do events twice a month. So I do free group healing events. My next one is well, I'm not sure when this is going to be released, but the end of December, I'm doing one. And then for the new year, I'm doing Set Your Intention, because I really think it's important to figure out what what you want your energy to be. Like, how
I
do you
like
want to
that.
feel it, right? So I don't believe in resolutions because I think it kind of feels kind of gimmicky. Like, I want to lose weight, but more like, how about I want to feel more joy into 2021, and what actions can you do to fulfill that desire? So
I
that's,
like that. That's
yeah,
a lot better,
yeah,
because when you want to be happy, and happy should be your lifestyle. If you want to lose
mm-hmm.
like 10 pounds, that's like a short, like that's an end goal.
Right,
Like happiness should not be an end goal. Well, it should be, but it shouldn't be that once you're happy, then you're done
right,
again. That's what I
right.
meant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's happening January 10th, and
Okay.
I think it's important to set the vibration, to have that, like, okay, like I want to feel this way this year, no matter what's happening. I want to find, like, I say joy because I think that's an emotion people can resonate with, and that could be something super small. You can find joy by watching a video of puppies, and that could be your thing. And
Fair enough.
you do that every day for like a minute, and that emotion of joy. And I think people don't realize even doing 1 minute of something positive can positively affect your whole entire day, because it
Fair
sets
enough.
the vibration of like, okay. And then also when you're feeling down and negative, you also have that emotion to go back to, because you remember if you do something consistently, you know what it feels like to feel joy. So if you're depressed, you can be like, oh, okay,
Your
I know
trigger
what I can,
points.
right. I know what I can do to make
Mhm.
myself feel happy or feel joyful. Even I know, everything's temporary,
Yeah.
so figuring out ways to shift your emotions quickly requires practice. And so the idea of 2021 set your attention is to help people create that practice for themselves so they can have something that they can fall back on to maintain a positive, loving space for their own healing and for their own lives.
I like that. I think, last but not least, I think when people are reaching out to you itself, what sets you apart from everybody else that are in the same field as you are?
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of acupuncturists of color, so that sets me apart.
Fair enough. I'll give you
It's like
that.
just being a Black woman doing
Mhm.
alternative medicine is pretty unique. And so there's that, but also that I do a lot of energy medicine. I do a lot of emotional wellness, mindset wellness, as well as
Okay.
the physical.
Okay.
And so I really do the mind, body, spirit, like more heavily on the spirit, but the mind and the body needs to be everything needs to be in coherence, in
Fair enough.
symphony, in alchemy. So that's kind of what sets me apart. And also the biggest thread of all that is having a lot of love, self-love, compassion, kindness, and weaving that into how you treat your body, how you think about yourself, and how you feel.
Fair enough. I think I've enjoyed this conversation because I know a lot of people are, watching or listening and stuff, and they're wondering, okay, you know what? It's time for a change, and how can I help myself with the current climate? Looking at our current situation, because now you have time to really spend and figure out what helps you out. So before we release you, anything else you want to add, or anything else you want to say before we go?
Um, that to be kind to yourself. Like everyone is doing the best that they can, and people often forget that to love themselves, be kind to yourself, and talk to yourself like you are your best friend.
I like that. Thank you. And I want to say thanks for being part of the podcast. I truly
Thank,
enjoyed this conversation.
thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today on our weekly episode of Health Your Way podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share with others, and please feel free to comment below and ask any questions on topics we discussed, as well as future topics you'd like to hear about. Have a happy and healthy week, and be sure to tune in next week for the next episode on a Health Your Way podcast.